How are we doing with our instruments?
Well, I already have one. Well, actually two.
Okay, let me pull up.
But well, it is one of them is designed for teachers and the other one for students. So. Pues no las puse ahí.
No, but I'm just gonna look at your research questions again.
Okay.
All right.
Sí, porque cambié la primera.
All right. So misconceptions teachers have about problems regarding. Okay. Okay. Tell me again how you're planning on selecting the teachers for your study. How many teachers are you thinking about?
Two.
Okay. And so the first, you're gonna apply a questionnaire to select those two. And do you have something that we can look at to select the teachers?
To select, no. One is they are like the ones that I want to apply to the teachers that I'm going to choose.
Okay. So my question is, how do you plan on choosing the teachers for your research?
I wanted to choose the ones that have lower levels, but I don't know what kind of aspects.
Did we talk about applying a questionnaire to select?
No. Creo que no.
No? Are you looking at a particular school or just any teacher with?
I wanted to go. Actually, I told you that in Linguotech is it is supposed that they use implicit grammar because they encourage students to speak a lot and make kind of activities in which they use real contexts and things like that.
I'm trying to remember what we talked about last week, but most of my conversations that I'm having with most of you involve some sort of questionnaire that will help you select the teacher, because you need to have a reason why you chose one or two or three teachers, whatever the participants, those teachers that you choose, that you decide that to do your research on. You have to have a reason why you chose those teachers, because one of the questions may ask, well, why did you choose this teacher? So most of you are doing a questionnaire that you're applying to many teachers. I don't know, 10, 15, 20 or more teachers. A questionnaire with questions based on information related to your research questions. But then from the results of those questionnaires, you're going to select, okay, these two teachers, based on what I asked, these are two teachers that I want to do my research on. You're going to be doing a case study. So the reason to do a case study is to look at, in this case, a teacher and their group and what makes them different, what makes them unique. If you want to focus on low-level groups, obviously that's a question that you're going to be looking at. But beyond that, you're also looking at, obviously, how they teach implicit grammar, maybe how their thoughts of incidental learning versus intentional. Maybe not using those words intentional and incidental, but asking questions that imply incidental learning that are examples of intentional learning, so that you know how they're doing, and these are how they're teaching. Because if maybe you find a teacher that does both a lot, they mix it up a lot and they use implicit grammar a lot, those are the teachers that you want, right? If a teacher answers the questionnaire and says, I teach explicit grammar, maybe they don't say explicit, but they say, I teach this way. And you analyze that and say, oh, well, that's explicit grammar. The teacher's not teaching implicit. I say, no, man, I see everything. I'm not going to waste my time with that teacher. I'm going to go on to the next one. But you're looking for those teachers of that, and one or two teachers, I bet, will stand out. They'll say something in there that'll be different than the rest of the teachers. Now you found one or two or three teachers for your research. And you can include in your research in your presentation, when you talk to the seminar, you're going to say, I chose these two teachers because they answered this way. They told me this. Okay, it's not like I chose these because they're my buddies or because it's convenient, or no, it's because of this reason. Okay, so let's think about a questionnaire, and we need to look at that fairly quickly. I'd like for you to apply it this week if possible. If you can bring me something this week early, and before your next tutoring session, because a lot of you, we're already in our second week for our design, our research instrument design. We have 4 weeks. Some of you are going to be finishing early and continuing on with the data collection. So if you finish early, you're going to have more time to do your data collection, right? So we can, some of you are coming in, showing me very quickly something you have. I check it and they apply it. So in your case, if you can bring me something in a day or two, it can be one page question or something short. Look at and asking these questions that you need to make a decision on who to choose. Bring it in. Let me look at it, so we don't have to wait another week for me to look at it before you can apply it. Hopefully, you can apply something this week or the first part of next week. Okay, so
actually, I made a Google Drive document, but I don't know if I shared that document with you.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you received an email or something.
When did you share it? Do you remember?
Yesterday.
Is this instruments? Is this you?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Se puede conectar.
These are questions about how students deal with grammar in the classroom. Please indicate how you agree or disagree with these statements, or strongly agree. And you get this from another study, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Students prefer matches between learning. Are all these questions related to implicit, explicit grammar, incidental learning, intentional learning? Yes? Okay. Well, then maybe you can apply this.
When I already, when I know, when I already choose, for example, the teachers, do I have to apply this instrument?
Well, we have two ways. You can apply it after you choose. You can come up with another questionnaire and then choose, or you just use this questionnaire to choose. Because the information from the questionnaires, you're not going to use all of the information from all of the questionnaires. So let's say you apply a questionnaire to 30 teachers, and you choose 2.
Mm-hmm.
The only information from those questionnaires that you're going to use for your study are going to be the information from those 2 teachers. The rest of it we're not going to use, even though it's interesting, but it's not going to be really the point. It's we're not going to use it for your study. But you can use the information from these questionnaires for those 2 or 3 teachers that you decide to use. So if you're going to apply this anyway, then you can use this instrument if you think this also is a good instrument that you can use to distinguish and find the teachers that you need. Okay. So, did you make a lot of modifications to this instrument?
No. Just to the second one.
For example, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, to the second one, because
the second one. The second page.
To the one that is for students, because some of the questions were like not so appropriate. I don't know.
Okay.
For students, because they don't know
like for example, my students find grammatical terminology. Okay, no, that's fine.
I don't know.
But you do have you have statements here about incidental learning.
No tal cual así, pero sí.
Pero sí, okay.
Están relacionadas.
Okay. My students find it difficult to transfer grammatical knowledge. Students are motivated. I think you can. I mean, for the teacher, right? You're going to wait for the students, obviously, until you choose your groups. But you're going to have a few questions that are going to be pertaining to the study itself. So you need, I would think, questions asking, would you mind participating in a research investigation where you might be expected to conduct 2 or 3 interviews? Would you mind if if your classes are observed? Think about all the ways that you're going to use to collect data. Include that in the questionnaire to make sure that the teachers also says, okay, I'm willing to do that. They may say, no, I'm not willing to do that. Well, then you know that they're not. Or maybe that there's a policy the school says that you can't, or who knows. But it just saves you time, right? You apply it to 30 teachers, or how many ever you can. The more, the better. And then you analyze that and say, okay, I found the perfect teacher, the 2 teachers that, that's the whole idea. If you apply it to 5 teachers, well, then you might find the perfect teacher, you might not. But yeah, this looks like something you can use, but maybe add a couple of questions at the end.
Okay.
And like I mentioned, and any other question, that you want to
Or do
ask.
I need to design another instrument, and then after that instrument, I apply this one?
I think you can use this instrument.
Okay.
If you modify it, like I'm saying, maybe add a couple of things.
And
just use that one questionnaire.
Okay.
Okay.
And that way I can choose the teachers, and also
you're going to analyze this, and you're going to say, look at all these questions and how they answered here, and look for the teachers that you think are best, and something that's interesting. You're going to have to do kind of an analysis, and then find the teachers that you want to do your research on. Okay. Now, let's see, my students. These are all questions or statements about their students. You don't want to include any questions about them. Yeah, about their, because this is all very specific about their students. My students do this. My students for authentic text.
Bueno, eso es como más para.
How do teachers? Because you're not asking, for example, questions like, how do you approach teaching grammar? Just a very basic question, open question. Maybe you want to include a question at the end. How do you integrate skills in grammar or something? That thinking about your research questions. And these are general questions and something you're going to find out more about. But this is just to kind of give you an idea, because you're not asking any particular questions about the teacher's approach, looking at some of these research questions. Right? And then based on those results, later when you have interviews, you can look at those and say, okay, I need to find out more about this because they said something here. But take this opportunity with this one instrument to get as much information you can, but at the same time, you don't want it to be super long either. But you want it to be very relevant to your research questions because it's part of the answer. So maybe at the end you add a few questions, 1 or 2 open questions, because these are all closed, so it's not going to, I don't think, take a lot of time to complete it. Maybe 1 or 2 questions about how do they implement grammar, how do they approach grammar, what are their thoughts on grammar, just some general comment or question that they are allowed to explain their approach, and how do they integrate the skills with teaching grammar. So everything's related to teaching grammar, and I wouldn't necessarily mention implicit grammar, just grammar in general, and then their answer should reveal some way or another either implicit or explicit, right? So 1 or 2 questions, adding at the end maybe, and a question about their willingness for them to participate in a research project. And at the beginning of your instrument, include a heading where you introduce yourself. You have information about, like here at the beginning, maybe you have a heading there Universidad Autónoma de Aguascalientes, language department, some information about the teacher, where they can fill out the age group, any information about the teacher. If you're interested in the age, the gender, location, school, whatever information that you want, you need to include in the header for them to fill out. And then followed by an introduction. My name is Luis. I'm a student here at the university. I'm doing research on this, very general. Please answer the following questions to the best of your ability. Yeah. 2 or 3 sentences, kind of an introduction that then leads into this. So this looks fine to me. We can look. I think
I just wanna
we can
compare the answers that the teachers have and the other ones.
Okay.
Or even that students have.
Okay. So yeah, let's start on this. If you can maybe put something together in a few days here and start applying it, preferably this week. Okay. This first questionnaire for the teachers only, and one of the questions too is going to be, would you be willing for me? May I? With the question regarding the research, you need to have their permission, or they need to know that you're going to be applying a questionnaire, and you might include some interviews. So you need to have a question or two in there in this questionnaire for the teachers that make it very clear what you need, what type of data collection techniques you're going to be using and needing, and for them to tell you that it's okay to do that. Because you don't want them to later say, well, I didn't know you were going to interview the students. We can't do that. We have a policy that you can't do that. And then you're going to be like, what? And you didn't ask until you're 3 or 4 weeks into the data collection process. So that's what you want to avoid. And it's very simple. You just ask it here. So if you can do it in one question, or if you need 2 questions, but make it very clear. If you want to add those and you want me to look at it, bring it in tomorrow. I'll look at it quickly, and you can go and apply it. Okay.
And if I took, for example, this instrument from an article,
right,
do I have to say this article was?
Yeah, this instrument, it was modified from Ellis 2012. Yeah. And and that'll be included in the method section. You write up your method section. Okay. And I sent an announcement, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, for May 21st. We have until May 21st to finish our instrument design, but it's also to complete the method section. And so the method section is very much, it's all the information related to what we need to know to design our instruments. So try to also finish that. You need to finish the method section by the 21st. If you have to go back and change it later, that's fine. But you need to have all that information in there because you need to consider all of that information when you're designing your instruments. That is the participants, who your participants are, obviously your instruments, and your procedure, the way in which you're going to actually apply these instruments and how you're going to later analyze these results. Okay. So bring me something here if you can, preferably today or tomorrow. That way you can try to start applying this questionnaire to as many teachers.
I think today I have like a free day, so I can add the other questions, and then I send you a message.
Okay, send me a message in Canvas to look at this, and if you can include a link in Canvas to this document,
okay.
Make it easier. I can just click and then go right to it, and then I'll leave any comments here. If we can do it that way, and if that's easier for you, that's fine. Yeah, and then hopefully this week you can start applying
Tengo que pilotearlo.
I'm not concerned about this part here, but I'm not sure about if the other 2. If you only have 2 or 3 questions at the bottom, let me look at it, and I'll let you know if you need to pilot it. Perhaps not, because I don't think it'll be that necessary because this is coming from
Or,
another source. A lot of you are creating something from scratch, and it's a lot of questions that might warrant a pilot. But I think in this case, for right now, I don't think it'll be necessary. But after I look at it, I'll let you know. And, if you do need a pilot, it's going to be like one or two teachers. You just ask one or two teachers to fill it out and see how they answer, and it'll be good enough.
mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So let's do that, and we'll see what you have next week. And if you want to discuss anything either this week, that's fine, or until the next tutoring session.
Okay, teacher.
All right. All right, Luis. You're welcome. We'll see you later.
See you.